I'm often asked about some of my favorite games that I like to play with my husband. My husband and I play a range of different middleweight to heavyweight Euros, but now and again we get out a strictly two-player board game. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about my top favorite board games to play strictly at the two-player count of all time. Come and join me, stay with me for the journey. Hi, my name's Danny. I'm an avid modern board gamer from Australia who loves sharing my passion for this hobby with you, my friends, and my family. Let's get this video started. Number 10 on my list has to do with Camels. Camels kind of getting in the way, and it's really a two-player set collection drafting game where basically you're going to India, a place called Jaipur, and then you're basically going to try and cash in sets of cloth for victory points and coins. This is a beautiful, quick game that has such a really cool theme. I just love the tactile nature of deciding on the market whether to take a handful of camels or whether to, trade in with what's on offer. There's an idea of trying to collect the most as soon as possible to get the highest value points for the type of good that you're trading. This is one of my favorite go-to two-player board games that I even take with me when I travel away. So just because of its compact size and its beautiful aesthetic and colorful nature just makes that subtle trading mechanism such a really meaty thing to kind of dive your teeth into while you're waiting at an airport or even just when you're on holidays. The next game is a game I've owned for a long time. It's got this sense that it seems simple on the surface, but actually when you play the game, there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of intricacies in the card play, and there's a huge element of area control. It's kind of a wit battle between the forest people and the city people, and it's illustrated by the absolutely talented Ryan Lockett. The game I'm talking about is Haven. Haven really captured my attention years ago when I saw the green cover. As soon as I saw the green, I was like, you had me. But basically, this is a game where you're going to be placing offerings out, using the values to kind of garner, influence, and then you're going to try and claim different regions in this forest. You've got these elemental beings that kind of wander around, and you're gaining little artifacts. You're using character abilities from your particular faction, so either the city faction or the forest faction, and through that there's this kind of tug of war effect that kind of drifts throughout the game. The game feels incredibly thematic. It feels like a really compact area control Euro, and there's a lot of weight to every single card that you play. And it's one of those games where it's like, oh, I want to do this on my turn, but if I do this, this might trigger this consequence to happen. And that's what I really like about Haven, that tug of war feeling that you get. The next game had me at the word adventure. It is a game that features a unique set of dice called dice sticks, which basically are elongated D4s, and they come in 3 different shapes and sizes. And in this game, you're basically trying to explore a temple. In fact, you and your partner are racing head to head to explore a twin set of temples, one for you and one for your partner or your opponent. The game is called Nagaraja, which is illustrated by the absolutely talented Vincent Dutrait. What I love about this game is that this game really evokes that sense of falling into different traps, following different labyrinths, and then using interesting card plays to do the things that you want to do. You can set traps for the other players, bid for tiles that help you to navigate your temple and unlock bonuses. And then when you're throwing the dice, each of the dice pips really contributes to how much influence you have when it comes to bidding for a tile. You've even got these like Naga symbols, which are kind of like these wavy symbols, which allow you to trigger bonus abilities on cards you've played. The interplay of tile placement, tile bidding, and also card management just makes this a really, really close favorite of mine. I love it when game designers really pack a lot into a small box. Not only have they thought about where the game could go for beginners, but also for experienced players. And this next recent acquisition into my collection is one that I've enjoyed very thoroughly. Now, a little bit of insight into my hubby and I. We don't tend to play a lot of cooperative games. My hubby in particular loves that competitive drive, or something that really keeps us going competitively, and we kind of want that sense that one of us is going to win and one of us is going to lose. I'm less so like that. I prefer that cooperative vibe sometimes, maybe because I lose too much and I'm like, you know what, I'm done with competitive games for a while. How about we play a cooperative game where we both share the victory? My husband's not really into that. But anyway, the next game is one that I really enjoy playing because of not only the theme, but all the cool thinkiness and subtle interaction that happens. And the game is called Sky Team, where one player takes on the lead role of the lead pilot and the other player is the co-pilot, and you're basically rolling your dice behind your screen, placing them to activate different parts of the control panel, like ensuring that the plane is stable, clearing flights from the flight path, changing your altitude, opening the flaps on the wings, and then landing on the plane, or with a cup of coffee in your hand. But what's really cool about this game is that you're not allowed to talk about what you're going to do. You can talk at the beginning of the round, but once the round has started, you got to kind of look at what your partner does, and then try and build on what they're trying to send you in terms of their messaging of the numbers that they're using. And what's even more cool about this game is that this game comes with additional modules that takes the game and increases the longevity of play for me for many plays to come. The next game is a game that really captured my attention with its art, and then I realized that the gameplay, while simple to teach, opened up a limitless amount of possibilities. And a funny story before I lead into this is that the designer of the game, who is also the artist, I actually met at PAX in Australia, in Melbourne, earlier this year. In fact, I didn't even know that was the design of the game. I was lining up, and then Britta from Games Australia said, "Hey, I want to introduce you to this lovely person." And Jean-Paul said to me, "Look, that video you did about my game all those years ago, I really loved it." I'm like, wait a minute, are you the designer of Land vs. Sea? And it was just one of those moments where I was like, oh my goodness. You know when you play a game and then you finally meet that person who's put all their heart and soul into a game, and just really being able to express that point of view of seeing their game in your video, and it's just one of those aha moments, like, whoa, what sort of situation have I got myself into, and how amazing is this? So anyway, Land vs. Sea, if you like games like Carcassonne, the simplicity of this game, which can actually be increased into different modes based on how advanced you are, and I always like playing with the advanced mode with all of the scoring rules, because it just means that every tile you place in this game feels a lot more impactful. But you can play this game with its base rules, which is basically one person is playing the ocean and one person is playing the land, and you want to kind of close off your type of terrain to score points, and the bigger the land or ocean masses, the more points you're going to score. I love the version of the game where you're connecting the coral pieces together, you're building trails using caravans and ships. It's just such a beautiful design game because each tile is double-sided. When you place them out, you're expanding the map, and so when you see your opponent try and go, I'm going to close in this big area, you can place a tile there to literally open it up and make it more difficult. And I think this game is slightly deceptive, and I was talking about this with Jean-Paul, and that is the idea that you're not trying to go for the really big masses, but you're trying to fill in those smaller masses as part of a winning strategy. Now, these top 5 games are games that I literally grab off the shelf if we've got like half an hour and there's just me and my hubby and we just want to play a really cool game and that we know is really fun and interactive but really easy to get into. These are like kind of casually based, but they're also really deep as well in terms of replayability. I absolutely love this number 5 one, and this is one which I was super happy with that they released, and that is Codenames Duet. I've played this as a 2-player game, but I've also played it as a team versus team game, and it is just a beautiful cooperative game of trying to, identify different keywords based on a one-word clue and a number. And here, you're trying to avoid a lot of different assassins. And if you played Codenames, you know that if you touch the assassin, you lose the game automatically. I love the fact that the Codenames Duet version has this campaign mode where you can literally fly around the world and then actually play it with different kind of levels of difficulty. This is such a cool, simple yet innovative way to increase the challenge of the game, the excitement of the game, and keeping the game really fresh. I absolutely love Codenames, but this one feels a lot more faster paced than the original Codenames because you're only having to wait for the opponent to give you a clue, and then you're also solving the puzzle as well. So you're doing both roles in one, which I think is a pro. Number 4 on my list is a game which reminds me of a destination my husband and I went to for the first time and absolutely fell in love with. We enjoyed seeing the Eiffel Tower, the Arc de Triomphe, and we just loved seeing all the sights and sounds of the city of Paris. And Paris, la cité de la Lumire, is all about the city lights and the romanticism behind going to Paris and actually building the system of lights around Paris. What I really like about this game is the fact that there are 2 different phases. The first phase is basically placing out these cobblestones, which have 2 different colors on them, you and your opponent's color. And then you're also placing out buildings onto these particular cobblestones, and you're putting little chimneys there to kind of say, you know what, you kind of claim this particular building. You've also got to use the lights that are printed out on these tiles, because the lights that shine on adjacent areas are going to give you victory points in the second round. But it's in the second round where the game really amps up another level, and that is amps, yes, get it, electricity. But basically, this is where the game really feels like, oh, everything you've done in the first half of the game really matters in the second half. And that is, you've got these postcards that each player can kind of only use once. I think there's 8 cards, and you're only going to be using 4 out of the 8 because your opponent's going to use the 4. They each come with different abilities, different scoring opportunities, ways to extend your scoring, and the combo of that really relies on the success of how you place those pavements in the initial rounds. Plays right out of the box, and definitely recommend getting the Eiffel Tower expansion that doesn't come with the base game, because it does really make the game feel a lot more meatier, deeper, wider, and more varied. The third favorite 2-player only game that I love playing with my husband is a game that has a pirate theme, and you guessed it, a little bit of trick taking and sailing off and avoiding the Kraken. The game is called Sail. It's a cooperative small box game with a cool, interesting art theme actually, but the idea here is that you are playing tricks, you're leading tricks, and then whoever wins the trick, the ship kind of moves towards you on a diagonal board. You're trying to avoid the Kraken because the Kraken is going to give you some negative effects, and basically the aim of the game is to get from the left side of the board to the right side of the board without losing. Here on what's really interesting about the cards is there's 3 different types of colors, and each card has particular symbols on it, and if you and your a partner have a matching symbol or a particular combo of symbols, it triggers a particular effect or bonus in the game. What's also interesting is at the beginning of each round, you get to give your opponent one of the cards from your hand, indicating to them what the composition of your hand might be. And I feel like that's a really cool element of the game, the idea that you're working together, but you're solving this puzzle in this way that's ever shifting and changing. The next game reminds me of when my husband and I moved in together. We had the biggest highs and the lowest of lows about how we wanted to lay out the house and design everything and what furniture we wanted. You know, this next game encapsulates that all into one box. And what I really love about this game is it's kind of like one of those games where you have half of the answer and the other players the other half of the answer. And with your communicative skills combined, this is a game I just love watching couples play with each other, because some of the moments that come through this game are absolutely brilliant. And that's because it's a game about decorating your house, and it's called Decorum. It's a game of passive-aggressive cohabitation. That kind of sums it up really well. You're basically decorating your house in particular colors, paint styles, and furniture styles, except at the beginning of each game, you're given a card that says what you like. and then your partner is also given a card with different conditions, and when both of those conditions are satisfied, you've won the game. But what's really deceptively hard about this game is trying to work out, ooh, why did my partner say they didn't like that blue lamp? I really want a blue room, but I don't want that blue lamp. And that conversation and inferred meaning comes right through. Now, I have played this game at the 4-player count, and even when we had all the cards out on the table, it was very hard to complete. So I definitely recommend this mainly at a 2-player count, just because you've got 50% of the information. Adding more plays does really make this game super difficult. But yeah, this is a golden one. We played like 4 or 5 games in a row. Just that's how fun it was. Now, before we get to my number 1 game, I thought I would insert a little bonus game in here, because this is a game series that I love doing with my hubby, and we did the advent calendar recently, and it was super fun because you're solving puzzles together, where the puzzles feel innovative, fresh, different, allow you to think outside the box, sometimes literally. But the games series that I really love playing with my hubby is the exit games. And I think maybe he likes it because we get to recycle the game at the end and it doesn't take up any more shelf space. But basically, the exit game series is brilliant. And one of my favorite exit game editions is that Catacombs one, the one which is 2 parts. It has kind of like a skull on the front. That one was brilliant. If you want to try any one, that one was so good. We played both parts in one session. Oh my goodness, such a fun game. This one hasn't been opened yet, but I've played a heap of them. I played the Egyptian's Pharaoh's Tomb, the cabin one. I've also played like the carnival roller coaster one. I've also played the one where you have to it's like a Cluedo kind of Murder on the Orient Express style one. But yeah, the exit games are super fun because they're quick to play, they can be played in one session, you have that collaboration, but also those aha moments when you solve a puzzle together. And this series is probably my favorite out of all of the escape rooms. Yes, they might feel a bit more abstract in theme, but I actually love the puzzle creativity in these game series. So Marcus and Inca Brand love their designs. They're the designers of Village as well as Raja of the Ganges. Love this series. Cannot recommend enough, even if it's like a Christmas present or a birthday present. It is so much fun. And now on to my number 1 2-player game of all time. Now, there are 2-player games that I haven't even included on this list, but this one has stood the test of time. I think I got this game when I first started this YouTube channel over 7 years ago, and this is one that has stuck around, and I've introduced it to lots of other people. And I think it was introduced to me actually at first by a colleague at work. And as soon as she showed me this, I was like, whoa, this is a game I really like. It does have a nature theme. It is abstract. It is an adaptation of chess. And the game is Hive. You might have guessed it. I have featured this game lots of times on the channel, but I cannot get over how ingenious this game is. The idea that you're placing a tile out every single turn, or you can move one of your insects using their abilities on your turn, and the whole aim of the game is to basically surround your opponent's queen bee. It sounds simple, but you're constantly analyzing all of the potential moves that can be made. And basically, as the hive gets bigger, and because of the shape of the hive changes every game, because the game doesn't come with a game board, this game is super dynamic. It has insect abilities, dynamic board, tough decisions. I've never ended this game in a draw. There's always been a winner. And sometimes with the original chess, you can end with a draw. This is a game that has some beautiful components, and you could literally play this by the pool if you wanted to, or even on the beach. It is my go-to game whenever we travel, and it is one that I think will stay as my number 1 2-player board game of all time. What are some of your favorite board games to play strictly at the 2-player level? There's a whole plethora of 2-player board games out there to explore, to try, to dabble in, and I'm always looking for that one cool game that's really gonna fill in that 2-player niche. If you really found this video super helpful, please consider giving this video a like and subscribing to my channel. If you really want to support this channel and help me make more amazing, cool, wholesome content, then head over to my Patreon page. There's some Patreon exclusive videos only if you're a Patreon subscriber. Thank you for joining me for another board game video. Please check out the other content on my channel. This is Danny signing out. I'll see you again next time. Goodbye.